Hannah and Ava, and we have a special guest today. It is my husband, Dan.
Hello.
Hi. So this week, we obviously had the surgery for Ava, so we filmed this one in advance because we need a little bit more time to edit kind of that video and that experience. Ava, oh my goodness. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about coping mechanisms and what have helped us to deal with the stress of the medical stuff. And basically we wanted to say that sometimes this sucks.
Yep.
Having a kiddo who has medical needs can really suck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it increases stress level, it increases like how worried you are as a parent, and like it just sucks sometimes. And look, I know that everything is on a spectrum, right? There are cases that are worse than ours. There are families who have it easier as far as medically than we do. Like, everything is on a spectrum, and I get that. But to ignore the fact that sometimes this really sucks, like, would be disingenuous. So we wanted to talk to you a little bit about how we cope, and then a little bit about what works for us as far as like the stress management piece of this. Feel free, if you can think of more suggestions, to put it in the comments below. Ava is playing with her toy and a little tired, so she may be a little distracted, but we will see how today goes. All right, so we, first of all, are very different. I am more emotional and Dan is more logical. So I was curious to see what Dan thinks on how do you cope with this stress?
Well, one of the things that I do that is maybe helpful but also not is compartmentalize. I've got several different stressors going on between work, home, and everything else, and if I have all of them at once that I'm trying to deal with, I'm going to get overwhelmed. So when I'm at work, I'm not trying to deal with home stuff as much, and when I'm home, I'm definitely not dealing with work stuff.
Does that make it harder for when you come home and do have to kind of face the special situation for Ava? Like the fact that, like, again, because we filmed this before we are posting this, the fact that next weekend we're going to be spending time packing her hospital bag and preparing for, at the minimum, an overnight in the hospital.
Like, the mechanics of it I've thought about, but the emotional processing related to it, I'm probably not going to do until the weekend prior, because I will be done with work and now focused completely on home stuff.
But that's totally different than I do it. Like, if you have noticed from like my posts and my blogs, like, I have been dealing with this in preparation for this for a couple weeks, where I need to feel all the things. Like, I need to take some time and I need to feel the, unfairness of it, I guess, like, and be kind of mad that this is happening to my baby, and I need to be sad about the fact that this is happening to my baby, and like, I have moments where I get overwhelmed and I cry because I'm scared, or I'm sad that she's gonna be hurting and I can't do anything about that. Like, but what I found is if I can emotionally process kind of on and off for a little bit before it happens, then when we're in that crisis mode, I can be pretty solid and like consistent and present and like, okay, what do we need? How can I help? What does Ava need? What does Dan need? And like kind of go into like superhuman, super mom mode, kind of. Like, I feel like that's what happened the last hospital stay too, is like, I cried before it happened, and then once we were there, I'm like, okay. And that doesn't mean I have no feelings. Like, there were moments in there I also cried, but like, it was more of like a reaction to what was happening, and like an authentic, like this is what is happening, I'm going to feel this and stay present and then keep moving. And I think we're pretty good for each other as far as like, and maybe it's that emotional versus logical, where we can usually like read each other and not both freak out at the same time.
Or we freak out about different things.
Right. That also is helpful. So for me, like, again, if you've been watching kind of like my Instagram posts and stuff, like I like went to go get my nails done because I'm like, this is something that's going to help my stress level go down. That's going to make me feel happy. And that like when we're in the hospital and I look down and I see like pretty fingernails, like it's something small that will help raise my spirits, even if it's just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So that kind of gets to one of the first coping mechanisms.
Yes, because we're focused.
Worked for us.
Yes.
Is
self-care.
Self-care, yep. For you to be a good caregiver to your child, I found, for me anyway, it is very important to watch yourself, be yourself, and know that you're hitting your stress limit, or know what is going to help you stay feeling healthy. So that's, things like sleeping enough, getting good food in you, getting enough physical activity.
That's helpful.
Self-care as its own activity too. You go getting your nails done is one thing.
And then Dan gets nights off where like he can go in the basement and be off baby duty and have some like scotch and watch some like Star Trek and like self-care. So like that's a big one. I think the other one that is helpful for me is to not shy away from the emotions of this. Like that, to feel like fully when you are mad about it or when you are sad about it, understand that like, okay, this is how I'm feeling, this is why I'm feeling, and then kind of letting it go. Yes, Ava. Like, if I bottled all of this stuff up, I would be no good to anybody. Like, myself, my husband, my baby. Like, because it would all hit me at inappropriate times, really. Okay, so feel the emotions, self-care. We had this all organized.
So getting back to the logical versus emotional, one of the things that helps me logically is getting more information. So in order for me to understand why we need to do something and not be worried about it or have a bunch of questions, relying on that professional support system that's around her care, with the doctors, with the therapists, with the hospital, or any of the foundation, educational resources that are online. If we're going to have a procedure that we have to consider whether we're going to do for her, or if we're looking at developmental steps that she should be taking, or things like that, getting more information about it helps me calm down.
Well, and thank goodness, because it is very handy to have a researcher in the family. Like, that helps me be ready, because I can be like, my gut tells me this is the right thing to do. Did your research also back up what my gut is telling me? Can we go with that?
Because you do have pretty good intuition.
Well, I like to listen too. Sorry. That's a weird response to that comment, but... Okay, so trust your medical professionals / do your research is probably our third one for
and ask
coping.
questions.
We asked like 2 pages of questions before her first surgery.
And the doctor was ecstatic that we asked all those questions.
Yeah. We have a medical binder, and before each appointment we'll write notes on there so we don't forget to ask. Especially when you deal with a lot of different kinds of doctors and types of doctors, like to have it all written down, because for me, especially if they start talking about something difficult, so like when they're talking about her surgeries, I get emotionally flooded and I can't remember all of the good ideas and good thoughts that I like intended to ask. So if I don't write it down, I end up missing at that appointment.
Right. And having it all written or collected in a binder makes me feel like we are in control of everything. We know what we need to be doing next, and I don't have to try to keep it all in my head.
Yes. That is something that helps, like, for me as a coping mechanism, getting a false sense of control for a situation that you can't really control. So, like, I think that's why I do... Hi, Ava. I think that's why I do things like... I want to pack the hospital bag. I want to do something concrete in preparation. And you are more like, let me get all the notes, let me get all the paperwork, let me get all of that stuff done. All good things, right? But I do think the purpose of those ends up being to give yourself a sense of control over a situation you don't really have control over.
Right.
All right. I feel like we need a 5.
Number 5.
Rely on your support system.
Yep.
So we were really lucky after Ava was born, where we had a lot of family members in and out of town. So we don't have any family near where we live, and literally everyone almost came in and stayed with us for, a variety of different time periods. But having that support around was amazing. We also have really good friends in the area that have been just wonderful and asking if we need anything and trying to be there for our family. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You'd be surprised, I think, about how many people who want to help and just don't know what you need.
Right.
Sometimes, though, to be honest, I don't know what we need. So if I haven't asked you for help yet, it's mainly because I don't know yet what I need. And sometimes it's going to be last minute. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
So if you can think of any other coping mechanisms that you guys use, if you have kids that have medical stuff, we would be happy and love to hear them. Oh, there's one other thing that I was going to say is one really good piece of advice that we got when I was pregnant was be careful on how you frame your wording of things. Because, so if you are, say you are pregnant and you're happy about it, but you're also nervous because it's the first couple weeks of a pregnancy, if you go to someone and you're like, I'm pregnant, they're not going to know how to read that. They can't be like, oh, yay, if your face is all right? So it's all in how you present it. Also, your choice of words are important. So if you say the words different and abnormal often, that's how people are going to learn to talk about it as well. So if you can talk about things in a positive way and try to look at the positive side of things, even when it's hard and even though it doesn't seem like there's a lot, the people around you will follow suit, and that actually ends up being really helpful for you in the long run too. At least is what I have found, because then people are able to say things in a positive way and in a hopeful way, versus just everyone kind of being scared or uncertain. So that was a really genius piece of advice that I wanted to pass along.
Yes.
Did I forget anything else?
No, I think we covered it.
Okay. Thanks, Dan, for coming on our vlog today, and hopefully we will get him back. I did promise that we would eventually interview him because Dan also had PRS as a baby, and you guys came up with great questions. So that is coming. Probably not till after the surgery. Well, obviously, because I'm posting this after the surgery. I'm getting better at this vlogging thing, but sometimes it still takes my brain a second. So, Ava, do you want to say goodbye too? She is ready to go down for a nap, but want to say goodbye? What do you see? Yay! You see Ava! Yay!